Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And it seems the issues at AT&T are far worse than anyone anticipated. So, just to make a long story short, we had John Stankey step in as the new CEO for AT&T back in June. And keep in mind, he had a directive from the investors, the Elliott Management Group, to be very aggressive in how they reduce the debt. So the company's debt ratio is like 90%, which is completely insane. So his directive was to be as aggressive as possible to reduce company debt and to get the company moving in the right direction in terms of not going around building an empire in terms of buying all these media assets but actually running the company with the assets that it has. So AT&T has been losing money on the business side, as most of you are familiar with if you've been following the channel. So the TV side, the media side has not been doing so well for AT&T. And then they recently picked up again on the wireless side. So the wireless side seems to be doing and driving the business. So the wireless side is really holding the company afloat in terms of the revenue. But the other additional businesses like the home broadband, TV, we're supposed to step in and help out with added revenue and growing the company. But with the purchases made of DirecTV at $49 billion and then Time Warner, which is now Warner Media, at $85 billion, the investors just aren't happy with how the company is doing 5 months in of John Stankey as CEO of the company. So as you see here, as reported by Charles Gasparino, I will leave all of his info in the description down below with an additional video that you guys can check out. AT&T investors saying current management team of John Stankey and Randall Stephenson not moving fast enough to cut costs, including massive debt load, and lamenting DirecTV. Time Warner deal, some have gone to the board to ask back for Ed Whitaker. Now, he apparently, from what I'm being told, he's a former CEO before Randall Stephenson. I wasn't tracking the wireless industry back then. This was apparently when the breakup happened. So this was way back then. And now board of directors, investors are going to the board asking for this guy back. So apparently John Stankey has not been doing his job at all. Investors have asked him to be even more aggressive than he's already been. So they want more cuts. They want more businesses being sold off. They want more employees laid off. So it just seems everything that they're doing so far is not liked very much at all. The debt ratio apparently has not moved also but a little. So they want more of that debt being paid off. Also, the investors are making a future prediction and saying that like the CNN part that they're trying to sell off is likely going to be hard to do, especially under a Democratic presidency. It's going to be hard in terms of antitrust issues and actually getting rid of that. So it seems that the current management that's in place right now, the investors have no faith in it at all. Zero. Nothing. They have no faith. They don't believe that the plans are going to work in terms of selling off CNN. And then also he makes another prediction that DirecTV is likely going to sell under $10 billion now. The current buyers that are potentially interested in it are buying into a losing business. The numbers show that they're bleeding customers on the DirecTV side. So some of those buyers are pushing the fire sale below $10 billion. So it seems that AT&T is trying to recoup some of that money by selling off CNN. But even that, based on antitrust issues and who's going to buy it or want to buy it, could become an issue as well. So it seems, again, AT&T likely is not positioned well at all for the future. Again, the C-band auction is coming up in less than a month. They have to buy some of that spectrum. They need it. Remember, I've seen some of you guys say, oh, they're well positioned. Yes, LTE spectrum, great. They are well positioned for LTE, but they need a clear chunk of spectrum that they can dedicate towards 5G. It has to happen. That whole sharing spectrum between two technologies is not going to cut it. T-Mobile has close to 200 megahertz of mid-band spectrum that they're putting into the network as we speak, or as I speak. They're moving pretty quickly. Once they get that into the network, the performance is going to shoot up. If you watched my last video, you already know Verizon is very interested in C-band, and they're looking at spending $24 billion. With AT&T's current debt ratio, are they even capable of spending that much? That's another question that many have asked. Are they in a position to just spend another $25 billion? Recently, the CFO spoke out saying that they had a very intelligent team restructure the debt load to make them accessible to additional loans from banks again. So apparently they did get that under control, so they could go into further debt. That's not a problem. Apparently, according to him, they could file for more debt and the banks would loan it to them. But that is not, investors are not going to be happy with that. You got to remember, you got to keep your investors happy. If not, they're going to start pulling out, or they're going to pull moves like this. They want Ed Whitaker back as an interim CEO. Stanky has only been in that position for 5 months now, and they're already talking about a new CEO. So apparently, again, the Elliott management, the investors, they are not happy at all with how this transition has gone. They want him to be more aggressive. At some point, the board of directors are going to not retaliate, but they're going to push back against the investors saying, look, if we are being this aggressive at some point, we have to watch it because we might cut into our profitability if we cut too much. So there's going to be a big back and forth on that as well. And we are likely to hear more of this over the coming days and weeks because this is going to be a very heated battle. I think the investors are going to have the last say so because if not, they're just going to pull out their shares, which is going to wake up AT&T because they don't want to lose the investors because the stock's going to get even worse than it already is. So they have to find common ground. They got to find a middle balance. The wireless seems to be heading in the right direction, but they desperately need that C-band spectrum. They need it more so than anyone else because of the fact that Verizon already has their mindset. They're fixing up their balance sheet now. They just sold $12 billion in bonds the other day. So Verizon is ready. They had $19 billion, according to analysts, to spend initially. Now they bumped that up to $24 billion. So Verizon is ready to spend on the auction. AT&T is the one that many are worried about in terms of how much can they spend and how much of that spectrum can they actually obtain. In the first 12 months of clearing, Verizon is set to get 80 megahertz of the first 100. That would leave 20 megahertz for AT&T if they did spend. Yeah, that's 20 megahertz, but performance-wise, that'll still leave AT&T behind. That means they could only dedicate 20 megahertz towards 5G when Verizon's going to do 80 in the first 12 months, and T-Mobile can do 100 plus. That's going to leave AT&T likely the slowest 5G network. So then, from that second 180 megahertz, AT&T is going to have to pull at least 100 megahertz of that. That's going to cost money. That's going to cost a lot of money to get 100. So if Verizon is looking at 120 total and they're anticipating $24 billion, that means AT&T will likely have to spend around the same to gain 120, if they want more. So can they pull that off? That's going to be a very, very interesting question come December. I will definitely keep a close eye. Again, I will leave all of Charles Gasparino's info from Fox Business in the description down below. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think AT&T is in trouble with the investors pushing the way they are? Do you think they're in trouble and they have to make potential cuts that they don't want to? Or do you think AT&T will eventually at some point get it under control and the business will move as planned? Or another possibility, do they get a new CEO this early? Who knows? Let me know in the comment section down below. Again, I think there is some, I think the, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think that's going to be brought up. I think there is some, there are some issues there. So definitely stay tuned to the channel for more updates on this. I think we'll hear more of this very, very, very soon. So again, if you are new to the channel or you have been on the channel and you are not shared, and subscribed yet, make sure you do so. Also hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload the content. Also follow all of my social media outlets for more updates, especially the Twitter and Instagram. I'm posting pictures of the N41 rollout on Instagram if you want to check those pictures out. Also follow the Twitter. I do post the videos on the Twitter as well as more interaction too. So make sure to follow both. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.